had quite a few people that said they were.
Yeah, we sent out, various notices to, let's see, now they'll trickle in. All right,
Now,
Frank?
is that person on right now?
Yeah, so it's Ally, she's on now.
Okay.
Let's see.
Hello.
Hello.
I'll go close to the restroom.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Did you get everybody straightened out on that Florida thing?
I just told them what you told me. Let them sort it out themselves.
I had one for an agent where they had about 8 properties in the grand deed, and the deed was then, moved into their trust, and the attorney, or somebody, recorded the entire trust. I've only seen, like, in my career, maybe 2 or 3, where people actually recorded the entire body of the trust.
Okay.
Well, the good thing was, because the agent wants to take the listing, but didn't know who has the power
Right.
to sign on the trust.
Right.
In this particular case, it spelled it all out, but
Yeah.
normally people don't do that because there's a lot of confidentiality, who gets what, things like that,
Oh, wow.
money.
Right.
Hello, I got some handouts right there.
Oh,
You're gonna love them. They're, anybody who's on Zoom, hang in there for a minute. Everybody's running a little bit late today. It's probably the most talked about subject in the industry right now. We'll give it a couple more minutes and we'll start. There's 2 handouts. One of them is the, and the ones that are not here, I apologize, we didn't put it as a PowerPoint, but I have plenty of copies of the information I'm discussing here. So we're going to talk about, basically the difference between a grant deed and a quitclaim deed, and how the quitclaim deed is being misused. That's the biggest issue we have right now. I gave you copies in here of the actual quitclaim deed, and we'll go through these items.
Hello.
Hello. There's 2 handouts right there.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about tax deeds. Another thing that's popping up where people have bought properties, or the family members have bought properties, and they're trying to sell them now. A couple more minutes and we'll start. Okay, let's just get started. Okay, I know most of you, I know all of you, I'm Frank Donato with Monarch Title, been in the title business 30 years, and today, with everybody's eyes on real estate, we're having difficulties, the title industry, how people of course, don't want to use an attorney because of the expense, and they act like their own attorney, and what they're doing is they end up having to go get an attorney to fix the problem. So what I've done here is that the difference between a grant deed and a quitclaim deed, this is a great definition that I did research on. The quitclaim deed is basically used for family members. Okay, that's usually what it's used for a couple of reasons. One is the quitclaim deed normally prevents reassessment of property taxes. That's another thing. Versus a grant deed is considered a sale, and if you grant something to somebody, the entire property rights, the county assessor looks at it as a tax sale. Reassesses the taxes. Where a quitclaim deed, if you're deeding a spouse on, or a significant other on or off, or a child added. Let me turn this thing on.
Where's everyone?
And so anyway, so what people are doing is that people get in trouble, and you cannot quitclaim off bad or any troubles. It doesn't work that way. So an example would be if I went ahead and knowing that I'm going to get sued for breaking the fence next door's neighbor's fence by an accident, and I said I'm not going to pay for it, and he takes me small claims. If I quitclaim off to my significant other or my son, daughter, whoever, and they win the judgment against me, the date of the entering of the court supersedes the recording of the quitclaim deed. So since I quitclaim off before I went to court, it's when it was entered. So if somebody filed a lawsuit on the 1st, you did the quitclaim deed 2 days later, 3 days later, okay, and recorded it, the attorney who represents that party can come back and say it's against you. So what happens is when you try to sell that property, we as the title company are going to pick that up, and then we're going to go ahead and say that you have to satisfy that judgment. Okay, that'd be one example of that. The other thing people quitclaim all the time is that okay, so when people buy property, and everybody, let me know if anybody has not yet had this experience yet, but when somebody's buying a house, how many of you have had somebody had to quitclaim the property in order to get the loan?
Oh, yeah.
Because the other spouse, for whatever reason, didn't qualify. It could have been judgments, it could be financial, okay? Then what they do, let's just say that it was had to do with child support, had to do with judgments, things like that, okay? So what they do, they make a big mistake. The people if the spouse, if it's, I'd say the majority of the cases, have to be the significant other goes ahead and is allowed to go ahead and get the financing, go ahead and get the loan, secure the loan, and after they record, they make a big mistake, and they quitclaim half the interest back onto the spouse Okay, the one that quit claim off first, feeling guilty that they want to have ownership in that property. The problem is that person who has a judgment, child support judgment, it attaches to the property. So they go try to sell it 2 or 3 years down the road, they can't quit claim off again to get rid of that. It stays with the property. So if somebody wants to do something like that, where the spouse has that issue, you're better off creating a trust, a living trust, and add that person in the trust so it doesn't affect the real property. And I just saved them thousands of dollars, because if they did it the other way, they have to go to court, get somebody to fight on the quitclaim deed, to go ahead and let the other spouse get full title to that. Another thing with a quitclaim deed is that if 2 people buy a property, and they put them on the deed of trust, both people on the deed of trust, and let's say in my case, I quitclaim to my significant other, okay, and I want to go buy another piece of property, doesn't work, because I'm still responsible and liable for that loan. So when people go through a divorce, sometimes the courts cannot force an individual or the bank to release that obligation. Does that make sense? It doesn't stop me, because that's very important. Because people go in quick claim off, let's say they're in a process of maybe going through a separation, maybe they're thinking about going through a divorce, whatever, and the guy says, hey, I want to quit claim my interest off to you, and so that I can start my new life. Okay? Well, the problem is that deed of trust, marriage has nothing to do with it. That's why a lot of parents will not co-sign on a loan for their children. Because once you do that, it affects your FICO scores and affects your responsibility as a parent or a person. Okay? So there's again where they use a quitclaim deed and really not the right way to do that as well. Both of them, most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, quitclaim deeds, they don't get title insurance. Okay? And that's where I put in here a copy of the, you got a copy of the quitclaim, that's what the document looks like. And the page right after that, it's called an affidavit of uninsured deed. Has anybody had where we said there was a quitclaim deed, and we said you had to go back and get the signature of the person they quitclaimed from? That's the form you have to use. So what they do, when we tell people if they're going to use a quitclaim, I put in here 3 different legal sources, including LegalZoom.com. There's a paralegal, a couple of them, 3 or 4 of them in the Antelope Valley. You go over there, they will go ahead and do the quitclaim, notarize it, and they'll also notarize an affidavit of uninsured deed. And that person who moved that person off title, they will have this document, and when they go to title to sell the property or get a loan, the title company will be asked for this document, and you'll have it done. People don't understand how valuable that is, because I'll give you an example. I have clients from all over the world. In this case, happened to be they're from Mexico, and the brother came up here, had the money, put down the down payment on the property, qualified for the loan, has a really good job down in Mexico. His brother, grab it, two.
Oh, right, thank you.
Okay, the brother quit claim when he went back to Mexico, didn't have the affidavit of uninsured deed, and we were the second title company they went to see if they can make the person could list the property and sell the property, and we required the same thing. So if the person is going to do that, and it's your buyer, and you know that they're going to go after he buys the property, he's going back to his homelands, whether it's China, Italy, wherever, Mexico, wherever. When they quit claim, they need to have this affidavit of uninsured deed filled out, because if they don't, if they say, well, I got my brother, he lives down in Mexico, okay, he lives outside what I said, well, go to the Mexican consulate, American consulate. Well, he lives 150 miles away. You see what happens here? He doesn't want to do it, but it has to be done. You know why they asked him why it to be done? We want to make sure he was coherent to give $150,000 away. That's the same thing, and I'll bring it closer to home. 10 years ago or more, I had a husband and wife, very bad situation. He came to her, they had about $200,000 worth of equity, and he went ahead and she quit claim to him, took the kids, gave him $25,000 and a quit claim deed, and he's now technically the owner of the property. So what happened was the title company on that case, the person went ahead and sold the property, went ahead and refinanced the property, and the title company didn't require an affidavit of uninsured deed, and got the loan went through, fine. Lo and behold, she was legally separated now, going on in her life. Where she worked in as a legal secretary. Very embarrassed to talk about her situation. Couldn't use her firm because they weren't specialized in that. And they're talking with the attorney at the firm, says they're talking about their lives and this and that. And he goes, well, what happened to your house? She says, well, I quit claimed it to my husband. I was very much upset, and he screamed and hollered this, and this. And she said, when you went to court for your divorce, did you tell your counsel to what the story was? And they said, not really. And they said, well, you know what? You're under duress. And if you're under duress, the deed that he signed to you is not legal. So it's not
valid or non-legal?
It doesn't matter. Either deed to give interest to her back, to give that interest to her portion of the interest to him, because she was under duress, didn't know what she's doing. Psychologically, she wasn't there. She had 2 kids she was worried about. We've heard all these stories. I mean, these stories are not something new. Some are even worse than that, where they actually have spousal abuse and everything else. If anybody quit claims or grants, it doesn't matter, either deed, that interest of the property to that person, and they don't know the laws, and title company closes the transaction without this affidavit of uninsured deed, they got a problem. In this case, they did. The title company had to pay. So let me go back. So the attorney, I don't know if he was hitting on her or whatever, but at the party. But the thing is, he said, you know what, I'll handle this case. And he said, okay. So they did an appraisal, went back to got an appraiser. This thing costs a lot of money for the guy. He went to court, and they did the appraiser, and they showed it was $200,000 equity, and the judge declared that this deed was void, and that she was signed under, she was basically incapacitated to duress, all that stuff he said, and he awarded $100,000 and attorney's costs to her.
How did she prove that she was
But
under
the title,
duress?
pardon me?
How did she prove that she was under duress?
Oh, because they had a police report. Yeah, that spoke for, and see, I wasn't, the fly on the wall, but from what I got from the attorney, and, Mike, I was with another title company, and I was subpoenaed only to say that we did the title work, but it was a refinance, it was with a lender, but the lender was protected, and what happened was that the title company I worked for, they had to pay the claim, and then go after him.
So they paid her the $100,000,
She got like about $125,000.
and then they go after him.
Yeah, well, after him, exactly. Now, so let's take that same scenario. If the title company would have had mandated, and this is what happens, they put pressure on us. I mean, everybody puts pressure on us. You can do it this one time. You can kind of bend the rules. The reason the title companies are the way they are, we're insurance companies. We're guaranteed clear title. And one of the things, our biggest problems we're having in the title industry, not just quickly is one, the biggest is notary fraud. Where family members are notaries and this and that, and they sign certain things that don't have the proof of information, whatever it is. All I'm saying, the reason I'm bringing this up to you guys, when you see me, call me, whatever, say, this is a scenario. Evangeline, she called me yesterday about the situation, on another situation. I had another call with another agent here that they had 10 pieces of land parcels on one grand deed, and it was taken in a trust. And she asked me, she goes, Frank, how do I know who's going to sign the listing? Because both of the parties in the trust had passed away. In this particular case, was very interesting, is that I've never seen this, only seen like maybe 2 of them like this. The entire trust was somehow recorded with the county recorder, which is very rare. Usually you got to contact the family member, show them a copy of the trust, and it tells you who has the right to who's the executor or the trustee of the trust.
Right.
Well, this one was really simple. She knew exactly how to write up her listing agreement, bang, bang, bang. She called me for questions as well. So the same thing I'm telling you right now in deeds, when it comes to a quitclaim deed, any kind of quitclaim deed, give me a call and run it by me. Or run it by your escrow officer, okay? Run it by us. And we'll tell you, there's ways to get around some of this stuff, almost all, I would say 95% of the time. But if once you sign that thing, you can't say, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It doesn't work that way. These legal documents represent lots of money, okay? Questions on that? Those are scenarios, those couple of scenarios right there. So, and I gave you an explanation, really good explanation about, in California, a quitclaim deed are commonly used between spouses, relatives, or children, basically. If a property owner is transferring his or her property into his or her trust, that's another one to use. You know, they'll quitclaim it into there. A grant deed is a commonly used in most arm's length real estate transaction. Buyer over here and a seller over here. They don't use a quitclaim in that, and they are insured. They're always insured. In a quitclaim deed, they're not insured, normally. Normally, they're not insured. And I know that everybody have a different scenario, and we can talk about those anytime you want. So you got a copy of the explanation, you got a copy of the quitclaim deed. On the back, I mean, the second page from the back, I gave you LegalZoom.com, I gave you Legal Express in Lancaster, my target, okay, and there's other, I gave you a bunch of professional legal documents, these different people, and these people know that the title companies, what they want, and so they'll do the document, the quitclaim, notarize it, and they'll do the affidavit of uninsured deed. They'll notarize that. They'll hand that one back to you, the party who's having this done, and the quitclaim, they'll get recorded with the county recorder. Everybody understand that? Okay. Questions? Questions? No questions? Okay. Now, anybody here taking a listing in their career? I hope every one of you say it.
Yes, yes.
Okay. This is probably in your transaction, the beginning of the, I know the listing agreement is the most important thing at that time. But the next thing, you don't leave that listing agreement until the last page fills it out. Statement of information, known as an SI. Okay. Let me tell you why this is so valuable. This is so valuable at the time of listing. Get all the information, email it to me in a PDF, say, Frank, can you take a look, have your company take a look of the statement of information? Okay? A lot of people, what they do, not everybody, but a lot of people that do, they'll get freepropertyprofile.com, and they'll get the basic information. They don't see any child support, no judgments, and they don't tell you this stuff. And here we go, you guys get them approved. You get the seller is all excited, and nothing's been said, and then 2 weeks later, the escrow said, hey, we gotta have the state SI. We gotta have the SI. We gotta run it. and then we will put the social in there, we put the driver's license in there, and we pull the handle like a slot machine. And we pray that we don't get 3 sevens. We don't want a winner. We want a loser. We don't want to win. And if we get one that matches up, then we're gonna ask for more information, and that could prevent the sale. Yes, sir.
This thing says resident for the last 10 years. Is this a statement after you sell the house and then they want to go back 10 years?
This is for the seller, not the buyer.
Oh,
Yeah, because we don't really care if the buyer has judgments, the lender will take care of it. That's their problem. We don't care because it doesn't attach to the property until you take ownership.
okay.
Okay, it's for the seller. And and that's the thing I tell people, like when I just made that comment, that statement, is that some buyers they'll have something against them, maybe a $10,000 child support judgment, and we'll let them take title, and on the title policy, it's an exception, a Schedule B, that everybody knows he or she has to take care of that $10,000 before they can refinance or before they can sell. But we allow them to go ahead and take possession of the real property.
So I'm the seller and I have to, they have to go back 10 years?
Yeah, let me tell you what that's for. So let's say you were in the military, okay, and you were here 4 years here at the base, and then you lived, we'll say in, I don't know, Guatemala or whatever, okay? You say Guatemala for prior life. We use that because the judgments that we search will give us that information. Normally, they'll put 1 or 2 addresses down, and then we can say that's not you. We use it as a title company to help us out, so it's not you. Where we've had problems in the past, this is a little interesting story. This happened about 15, 18 years ago. I have a client, and the client was Latino. The grandfather been in this country, legal citizen, everything, right? And the father came here, couldn't get his social security name, had the exact same name as the father, used the social security number to, for all kinds of things. Okay, work, whatever. Lo and behold, the guy that was the young man who was buying the property was born in Central America, okay, Latino, right? He used his grandfather's social security number, okay? Yeah, this is very interesting. So, I haven't had too many of these, but this popped up that there's a judgment against the, against the person. And so what I did was, I asked my title officer, send me a copy of the judgment. I looked at the judgment, I looked at the judgment on against the person. I went to my title company and said, this young gentleman, this is not his social security, it's impossible. And they go, Frank, how can you make that statement? I said, because look at the numbers on here. And they looked at me and they said, wow, because we know that certain years or decades represent certain numbers. Yeah. It was his grandfather's. But what happened was, so that we moved that from him, and he was still able to buy the property. He just had to go get his own social security. So, yeah, they do that. Some people just keep on using things over and over again. Today it's very difficult, more difficult, because everybody has access to everything. It's changed a lot. So I always ask these off-the-wall questions because of my experience. I said, I just happened, and I kept on asking the agent. He goes, Frank, it's not his. It's not his. And I said, how do you know that? They said, because they told me the parents, they were using his grandson was using his number when he came from over here to get a job right away. And we went ahead and I said, and that's when it hit me in the head. I said, I went to the Social Security office, called them up, said, how do I know when this number was issued? And they said it was 1968. The kid wasn't even born yet. And my company issued title as a buyer, he bought the property. So sometimes we have these kind of things that pop up. But quickly, go ahead.
So if the seller has a problem and they're selling the property and then they get this 10-year thing and that person, I'm the seller, I got some issues that pops up
It happens,
That'll-
well, that's without the SI. Before we get the statement of information. When we get the statement of information, remember I told you, we take the numbers and put them in the slot machine and pull the handle? That eliminates everything. If we send out a prelim to you, I'll give you an example. John Smith, Juan Gonzalez in LA County, those two names, 10,000 of them.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but they don't all have the same driver's license, social security. So we put them in the machine, pull that handle, and you got a joker, a 7, and a 6. So it means they're not their problem. See, the real estate industry as a whole, there's 2 data banks that the title companies use, and we only have access. Well, not just us, but the court of law has it too. And that's what they are. You have the basic stuff that you get from us every day, and then we have what's called a general index. And that general index comes from the court files. And those court files are not open to the public. You have to go through a company or whatever to get those documents. We have direct access. And that's how, and what happens is, so what the federal government's done, and of course California and everybody else, what the courts have said is that we don't need to record it on a physical piece of property. We don't have to record a document every time somebody gets in trouble. We'll just record them against their names. And their social security and their driver's license. You know why they do that? Because some people are gypsies. Some people know they got these problems, and they'll try in every state to see if they can buy a piece of real property until they get tired of doing it. And that's how people get repaid back, whether it's a judgment or some sort. That's how they get paid back.
So a seller, if they've got some issues that's in the past.
Tell us.
Or what have you, and they don't tell you, it'll pop up.
We're gonna catch it.
You're gonna get it.
The title industry has become the policing agency for the real estate industry. Escrow doesn't have access to them. That's why they rely on us. Mortgage company only uses a credit bureau. But the court records, that the attorneys have realized, we don't need to do that. We're gonna go after the title company because they got money. So we put it in the courts, and some attorneys take the extra step and put them on their credit reports, but a lot of them don't. And so I have people, lenders, when we have the refi market, they go around and find out who's the one that would not require a statement of information if they're buying a house for their buyers. And then that loan officer would say, call Donato. The other company doesn't put the judgments on the buyers. And that doesn't show up on the TRW report or the credit reports. So now they can give them the loan. That's how that's what goes on. Now, when they buy the property, close escrow, if they go try to refinance it 2 years later, when we have them fill out the statement of information, bingo. And we tell them on the policy, it says Schedule B, this is an exemption, this will have to be taken care of before you transfer title or refinance it at a later date.
Now, a lot of everyday people have a lot of miscellaneous things. People send them something, say, we're gonna sue you, or you bought some wine, and they say, okay, we're gonna log something against you. If you're the seller, is that gonna come up? Would that come up? Capital things like
They can go to, they could have, would have, should have, and gone to whatever, but until the judge, bingo,
Oh, it has to be
gavel,
a
yeah,
actual judge.
it's just a threat.
Oh,
The only time it's not a threat for us is a less penance. And what people do is, like, if you have a real estate transaction, and this one's not, the buyer is not dilly-dallying around, waiting for money to come from overseas or whatever it is, then the listing agent will go ahead and open up another transaction in another escrow company, probably use another title company, and the buyer feels something, and what they'll do is they'll get an attorney, and the attorney will file less penance. And what that does is, it means everything stops until the judge sees the case, or the person who files it releases it. But there is no other, that was considered, that's called a lawsuit. Now, with the title company, has to stop, they can't do anything.
I got a good example. A friend of mine had a house, and they were trying to protect it from being foreclosed, so they put all these phony baloney people on it. Then they went to try to get it refinanced, and they couldn't get all the phony baloney. They
That's
couldn't
right.
find it.
There you go, because they gave quitclaim deeds. They used quitclaim deeds to move all these people on it.
But they were fake people. They weren't.
Oh, yeah.
So how did they get out of that?
Well, it's because none of them got money. You know what? I mean,
None of the phony baloney signed off.
the what now?
None of the fake people signed off. These were not real people.
Yeah,
They were just
but they didn't
made.
get a loan either.
Yeah, but
And they didn't, right, because it's called a cloud.
Yeah.
Cloud on the title, and they have to get an attorney. Now they gotta go to see the judge. The judge is gonna ask them, what the hell did you do here? He goes, I can't remember. That's what they're probably gonna say. And the judge says, okay, we're gonna wipe out all these bogus people so they can transfer title to a new buyer. Now, there's probably lawsuits, court costs, all these fees. Chances of that guy getting anything, or he or she getting any money from that transaction. Oh, we do that all the time. That's why we require an affidavit on the sure deed. I said, anybody with quit claims, if they want to do funny business. You're talking probably during the time where we're doing the short sales and all that stuff. About what, 8, 10 years ago?
Yeah, about that time.
Yeah.
What kind of documents do you need to quit claim and give to somebody
It's right here.
else?
Okay, it's right here. I just put it,
No, what I'm saying, in his case, what he's.
you can't.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So how-
because they could be ghosts. They're ghost people.
Yeah.
In fact, what's interesting, the comment, that's a great question, because during the time they were doing the modifications, there was these ghost companies taking title to the property,
Right.
and they busted them. It was a big ring, different ones throughout in the United States, and they busted them finally because people could not, even the banks had problems getting them off title, and they had to go hire these attorneys to talk, and there was a pattern. There were some cases up here, there was like 150 homes in the Antelope Valley, these ghosts, and what they were doing was taking title, gave them a couple $1,000, and they were trying to get a short sale, make $50,000 to $70,000, $100,000 on the properties.
But it did allow the people not to be foreclosed on.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's one of the reasons why they do it too.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a preventive foreclosure. Well, right now, we're in a whole different world today because there's still 2 million people in this country that haven't made a mortgage payment in 2.5 years. And you know what? They're not going to foreclose. The banks have become Section 8 companies, basically. Money's coming from the feds, comes to them to offset the losses, and that's what's going on. The reason is, where are you going to put 2 million people on the street? This is what things have changed a lot. We all know about the homeless problem, that's all we hear every day. But the thing is, we're very caught, and now you gotta remember now, we guarantee if you buy something, you're the buyer, when you close escrow and you're gonna go shopping for some furniture, you don't want any headaches afterwards.
Right.
And that's where the title companies are so critical about the sellers. And you got another thing too, and I'm not picking on anybody, but we got people, the United States is the only country in the world that allows you to buy property as a non-US citizen. Anybody, as long as you go get a federal ID number, I don't care, we don't care who you are. Escrow doesn't care who you are. You just got to follow the rules. When they go and sell it, they got to pay their taxes, whatever it is. But it doesn't matter. But here's the thing: once they get possession of the property, they think they can just do what they want to do once they're here. The biggest problem I have with the foreigners is 90% of them don't tell you they're married. We don't know they're married. And so what happens is they come over here, they bring a significant other over, and all of a sudden he doesn't like her anymore, whatever it is, And he tries to kick her out. So what she does is go get an attorney, and they file a document. And what happens, they took title illegally, not telling that they had a significant other. You know, I mean, legal. I mean, and by the way, if you're a treaty country, Mexico, Italy, France, whatever, that's called a treaty country, they recognize their marriages. Everybody thinks you're gonna be married in the US. They reckon. I've had that too with clients with Hispanic, a Mexican family. I'll never forget that. She came in the title office. She found out that he was trying to sell the property, and she was the real wife of the person, and he had another wife up here. Yeah, I mean, there's crazy stories, but we get them.
Which one took precedence?
Yeah, and she actually had brought in to our title officer, or the escrow officer, a copy of her marriage certificate from Mexico.
Which one took precedence?
I don't know. I don't know. To me, that's a very expensive proposition, having two wives. It's hard enough to have one. So, you know, I don't think. Trust me, it's hard to, you know, two? Wow. Only guy can, listen, there is an exception, that's Elon Musk. He's got 10 kids. I don't know how many girlfriends, you know, it's a whole different story. But when you're worth $250 billion, I guess you can do that. And he said he wants to have more kids, so, you know, it's funny. But, okay, so the roots of this presentation is you have people that can help you. You've got on-track, great escrow officers. There's great escrow officers throughout the valley, but, you know, I work a lot with them. You got me, title. We can get you an answer a question. If you're going to do something, you smell something, let me know. I'm not going to go, nobody's going to think on anybody. We're just going to tell you how to do it the right way. Because, you know, it'll save you a lot of money. The cheapest thing that anybody can do if they want to give somebody property is get a $600-800 trust done. And put in the trust that if I die or whatever, they're the executor of my estate. That's what it comes down to. The other, you know, so I tell you, anybody can get them. Don't matter if you're single, don't if you're married, doesn't matter if you want to, two brothers want to do it, two sisters want to do it. A trust basically says, I have an estate, a small estate, doesn't matter if it's a big estate, doesn't matter. It's spelled out there who gets what when the time comes. Now, the other thing is, let's say they don't get along anymore. You can take them right out of the trust. Just like that. You have that thing. But for $800, you're not going to get an attorney anywhere here for $3,000 to $5,000 retainer for anything, you know. And then it takes you a year to take care. Now I'll tell you another thing, because I know it's a little bit off the subject, but this is very important, people. Anybody that you know, in your family, friends, whatever, that owns a property as a married person is their sole and separate property. Unmarried person is their sole and separate property. Anybody has their sole and separate property, they better run as so fast they can to get a trust done. Because if they don't do it, and they die, get an accident, incapacitated, I don't care what it is, it's going to run between $8,000 to $10,000 to get an attorney to take care of it.
Probate.
That's right. Probate. Attorneys are making so much money right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's disgusting. I mean, that's their job. I know one thing, if I had my life all over again, I'd have became a real estate attorney. I mean, because we don't have any. I mean, they're very hard to find, you know, contract law and stuff like that. When I first got into business, we had 3 or 4 really good ones up here in Yellow Valley. But, you know, they're all gone. But that's the key, is, you know, just how we get a trust. Frank, just use an example, Frank is unmarried person is sole and separate property. I'll quit claim into the Frank Donato estate, a trust. And that way, if I die, my sons, my wife, girlfriend, whoever it is, you're awarded the property to take over my estate. And I don't have to pay a dime to the attorneys.
With a trust.
With the trust. And if you got a sophisticated one, you're going to have to probably get it, you know, if you got 6, 7, 8, 10 homes, you probably need to deal with an attorney. But LegalZoom has, their people are all, they have attorneys. You have attorneys. And I just had an issue with that just recently, where somebody went ahead and they can't find they want to update their trust, family trust. They can't find the person. Lo and behold, he died. I said, yeah, but he sold his practice to who? They don't, the trusts don't go away, there's this move to the next attorney who bought the practice. So, they're always around.
So in short, a quick claim deed is good for,
Quick claim deed is used, let's say that you're 80 years old, and you've owned this property as your sole separate property, and you have a daughter, just one sibling. You quick claim her on title with you know, 50%, in case you become incapacitated or die, she doesn't have to hire an attorney.
Wait,
That would be one example.
oh, okay, that would be.
No, that's just one example, that's one example. I'm just gonna give you one example. Another quick claim, you were, let's say you and your brother hold title together, okay? Not married. And your brother says, you know what, I'm moving to Europe. And I have about $75,000 worth of equity here. Okay? You quick claim the property to you, you give him, write a check for 50 or 75,000, whatever. Now you have a property as your sole and separate property, and he's no longer entitled. That would be another example of a quick claim deed.
You're
Because
better
it's not a sale. So you're not selling anything. Quick claim is not used as a sale.
right, it's just transferred.
Yeah, I mean, I know people say, I use it as a sale. I gave somebody some cash and he deeded the property. It's not a sale. See, in fact, it's dangerous because you got no title insurance.
Yeah, that happened to me once.
Yeah.
I loaned money and the person signed a quick
White
claim to me.
lenders?
And I sold the property and he was complaining that he didn't get his equity, but I didn't get all mine back either. I was into it, I lost $2,000 in that deal. But I did get the major of the money before it got crazy.
If I buy or sell anything, I could do everything myself 100% over, 100 times. I would never, ever, I don't care how small the sale is, I will always use an escrow and a title. And I'll tell you why. Because whoever's representing me, the agents, you got E&O insurance.
Got what?
You got E&O insurance.
errors and
So if you
omissions.
misrepresent me, I'm gonna come after you. If escrow misrepresent me, I go after their bond. See, that's why I tell people, you got huge insurance policies. I tell people all the time, I said, they try to do things on the side all the time. No, you don't. You go get your escrow officer. If you don't have one, I'll point you in the right direction. And you get yourself an agent to put the contract together, or hire an attorney. There's only two people that really can put the contract together, and that's an attorney or your real estate agent, legally in California. Escrow can't do it, they're not allowed to. Yeah, that's why you guys come to these things. You know, at least, you might not remember all this stuff, but you know where to go in the right direction to get the information. And that's what we do today. So you've got to keep that in mind, so,
I want to give you one thing.
wait, hang on a second. You had a question.
Oh, no, that's okay. No, we were talking about the quick claim deed. You're better off just doing a trust. Instead of.
Well, you know, okay, another reason why you use a quick claim deed, you and your husband are married, okay? As a married couple, as joint tenants, correct?
Right.
Okay, you're gonna have to quick claim that into your trust. So it's gonna be you and your husband, as your married couples will hereby grant to your trust, the quick claim, not a grantee.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Use a quick claim. I know, grant deeds are used technically for buy and sell. Quick claim is moving the interest,
Just something different.
percentage of interest, or moving it from you and your husband, as husband and wife joint tenants, into your trust.
So
That's
that-
what attorneys do. I mean, they quick claim. They
So
don't-
that's basically another way of a quick claiming.
Yes, that's another one.
Well, that one I didn't.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to add one of your, just to say that, let's say you own a rental home, and your daughter's getting married, and you're gonna kick the tenants out. and you're gonna clean it up, and her husband and her, after the marriage, is gonna move in, but it's held in you and your husband's as joint tenants. You might add her, not him, onto title, because you, and I'm not trying to take sides here, but God forbid, if they get divorced, you don't want him to get any of the property. Okay, or, that's a quick claim, give her interest, so it'd be three of you, a third, whatever. Or, better yet, and I suggest this, you create a trust, put all your properties in it, and you put the address of the one that's gonna become her, that she gets that property if you pass away, or is a sole and separate property.
Right.
That's the right way to do it.
Sold and separate, huh?
If the person.
Yeah, because, well, hang on a second. You know, she threw something, a real good
Yes,
comment,
that's-
really good. A trust really cut and dries for the courts, the judges and stuff, that your intent is what is said in there, not to give the significant other. That's why when people die, when people in the trust pass away, and there's 4 people in the trust that get word of the property, and they're married, their spouses don't get that. It's whoever name is in the trust, okay? And that happened to me personally. I had an aunt that gave her 5 nephews part of her estate, and all of us, an attorney told all the people in the audience that the spouses are exempt from this trust. I didn't care, because she knew it cost me more money for me to go through a divorce than it would be for the money she gave me. So I'm just doing, what I'm saying is, that's why the trust is good, because you can put your dog in there. I got people that have $125,000, 1957 Chevys that came in Barrett Jackson, they paid, they put the car in there, and only the grandkids can get that car. And in the statement they put in there, the car can never be sold, has to be passed down, has to be maintained. Oh yeah, I got clients that have homes on Balboa Island. Their parents bought it in 1947 for $50,000 right on the island. It's worth $5 million today. You know what it says in there? You can live in it, you can rent it, you can Airbnb, not whatever, vacation home, whatever. You never can sell it. It's being passed down for generation to generation. And let me tell you why they do that. And something very important. The reason why, because that really got me, my mind, because I said, why are you doing that? Go, Frank, do you know how much they pay on property taxes on a $5 million house? I go, what? He says they're paying $2,300 a year, pre-Prop 13. See, people keep on thinking money and don't understand what the real thing is over here. I mean, a $5 million house that pay $2,500 instead of $400,000 or whatever it is per year for 1%, 2% taxes. That's one thing. The second thing, these people, the siblings, probably a lot of them, half of them maybe millionaires. How do they take the money that doesn't put them in another tax bracket?
Right.
So what they put in there was, I thought was really clever. It says that if this property is not kept maintained, and it says it right in the grant deed, it says this property is not maintained, that the property will be sold entirely, 100% of the proceeds after escrow will be donated to the Children's Hospital.
So they better take care of it, huh? They better maintain.
You might have a beautiful estate in Tahoe. You bought, you and your husband 25 years ago, a condominium. You paid $190,000, and you go up there, 4 or 5 times a year, and today it's worth, $1.5 million. How do people sell those things when generations of your grandchildren and grandchildren, you won't be around to pat you on the back, but they never can afford it. And that's what we're seeing today in real estate. Okay, same thing. Got off subject a little bit, but I do these classes, let me know if you need them, but anything to do with quitclaim deeds, scenarios, run them past that. I would say probably 3 times a week, an agent runs something by me on a quitclaim deed. The one thing you have to be, your clients have to be, with your potential clients, Anybody who's in prison, they get these romances, and these women put them on title, and it's all over. Because now when they do that, the prisons are very cautious now, but before they didn't, and they had these romances, and she can't sell the property. Because he is a felon, and he's in prison, incarcerated, and he cannot get notarized without the permission of the courts. So people gotta be careful when they do these crazy things. Go back to the trust. You wanna give them the money to your estate? No problem, put them in the trust. And I see all the kids at the reading of the will. Who's this guy? Yeah.
Oh, you first.
Yeah, I just want to have a question. When the person was single when bought the property and after 10 years got married, is the wife or husband have rights on the property?
Yeah, well, they write in the trust, this is what they did. Both of them died, they had 3 children. 3 children get to use it equally. They created a calendar. And what they did is that every 3rd year, they had Christmas there. One person had Christmas. Every 3rd year, one had Thanksgiving. So they rotated the time, so not everybody gets, I want all of Christmas, I get all of New Year's. It was a rotating calendar. And then when their grandkids started taking over, had access to it, you know, some of them passed away. Those particular siblings of the brothers, they just fall into their shoes.
I don't think that was her question.
No, my question is, this person was single when she bought the property.
Okay,
After 10 years, she got married, and now she wants to quit one of her parents. Husband has to do something.
no, she bought the property before she was married, right, you said?
Yes.
Okay, and so she can prove, we're not gonna ask for a quitclaim deed from him.
Ah, okay.
No,
He's
in that
not
case.
part of the title.
Yeah.
He's not even.
She's
Well,
not about that.
well, I know, but that doesn't matter. That's interesting you said that.
Okay.
That's a great
They're
question.
married now.
It's right, I know people, but there's been cases where a person bought a property, okay, and he got married after the fact and didn't have her quitclaim it to him, and she went to court and went after the equity. Now, let me tell you what, it's a very great question. Attorneys told me to prevent any kind of the significant other trying to attack something she earned and owned all these years, you create a separate checking account, and she pays only out of that checking account. Do not commingle the money.
Oh my goodness.
Don't commingle the money, because she can say he was sick for 4 months, and if it wasn't me, they would have tax default. Interesting, huh?
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, now, could you win how much, what it comes down to, you have 100%, you're probably gonna win that case, with no doubt. But here's the thing, how much are you gonna pay an attorney?
So in her case, if the person, the owner of the property hasn't quitclaimed the property and there is divorce situation,
Not a problem then. Not a problem. If they quitclaim, if she quitclaims, that's what people, the big people, I don't know, big people, small people now, but anybody who has a property, they've owned it as their sole and separate property, that's why you put it in trust.
Yeah.
Put it in trust. That prevents any of that, because the trust owns it.
Right.
And the trust, and she's a beneficiary of the trust, and she tells, that it's another reason why they use trust. But a lot of them, like movie stars and stuff like that, and the guy that owned the Dodger Stadium back in the day, don't you remember? They had, the guy that owned the Dodgers had a big lawsuit, and you know what he did? He was so smart. He got the attorneys, her attorney and them back then says, no matter what happens to us, we'll split, but I get the parking lot commission fee. What was it, McNally, whatever the guy's name was. And he made more money on owning the parking lot than he did to own the Dodgers. And she came back and tried to sue him, and she couldn't win in court, that thing, so he got that. So anyway, yes, again, you know, quitclaims are used all over the place. there's no question, attorney supervision is the best, and then it goes down from there. But in that case there, I would put that property in a trust.
Okay.
Okay. So my question is, what happens if the names on the trust, they all die?
What do you mean?
Like they all pass away, the trustees?
No, because the trust is updated all the time, they're putting somebody in there in charge. It could be the Catholic Church, it could be the Jewish temple.
Oh, they must.
You can, okay, so the trust is, you have the trustees.
Yeah.
I have the trustee, right? Okay, then we have what's called the executors. Those are the ones that take what we say, work with the attorney, and they work out the conditions. And then you have the beneficiaries. The ones that collect, the ones that collect.
Beneficiaries die.
Well, whoever is the one in control after
The better, it'll say it. It'll say that most of the executives, not executives, the executive, they are also beneficiaries. It comes down to instructions. It's whatever the trustees of the person who formed the trust. That's the trustee.
Okay.
Okay, so you have one in yourself, we'll say, okay? Now, you pass away, it says in their trust that your two older daughters are the ones that take over that trust. It spells out what they're taking over. It spells out who they give what to. It spells out that the money that's in part of the checking account is going to the funeral arrangements. All that's spelled out. It's like line after line after line, and they'll have the executors, they'll have the beneficiaries who receive whatever it is. And I worked on when I was actually, I was paid to be a co-executor with a family member because they didn't trust both, they have 4 kids, and they picked the eldest person, and they hired me. I got paid 1/4% to be involved because I had other experience with this, and what they did is that it's spelled out. And the attorney pulls them in, the 4. These are your 2 executors, and first thing the first 3 other siblings said, who in the hell is this? Whatever. And they said, he's been appointed by your family to represent with your sister or son, your brother, and they're gonna take whatever it says in this trust, and that's called the reading of the will. Now, what they did was, in this particular case, two of the youngest ones were bumps. And they each were going to roughly get $1 million. And they knew that it'd be cranked up, buying cars, taking trips. So what the trustees did, they said they wanted this to be distributed to all of the beneficiaries over 20 years. 20 years. And if any of them were incarcerated for something, that money was to cease and desist, they're getting it, and the money will be split up amongst the 3. You have complete control of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got people now, like I said, so-and-so property. I mean, I had people in here a couple months ago crying because they couldn't get access to the checking account to pay the funeral cost. You know, things like that. So all these things, but they, and then they, I have people say, Frank, I want to go get a quitclaim deed to put me on title. I said, where are they at? They said, well, they're in a hospital. I said, are they incapacitated? Well, yeah. And I said, well, good. I mean, Dad. But I said, good, you get the doctor to sign a doctor order that allows you to have it quitclaim, because you're going to need a court, because when the court's going to ask you, who's the one allowed this incapacitated person to sign an X on the quitclaim deed. Happens every day. There's these things. So, and then we have to insure them. Because the first thing the young people want to do, they don't want to deal with it, they just want the cash.
Right.
You guys, everyone in here, I don't care how much money you have, it doesn't matter. A trust is the way to go. You can spell anything. You might have a heirloom from the 15th century that's still in your house. That's priceless. What are you going to do with that? Who's going to get that? You're going to have it at an auction, or is it going to stay with the family? All these things are spelled out in the trust. Okay, anything on more quitclaim deeds? Everybody knows what a statement of information is, right? I'll talk to you later. You know what a statement of information is? You know the difference, the difference between a grant deed and a quitclaim deed. Grant deed is basically selling something. Quitclaim deed is deeding portions of whatever to somebody. Okay, and normally a lot of times, most of the time, there's not money exchanged.
Is that what shows up as intra-family transfer?
Huh?
Is that-
Interfamily transfer,
Uh-huh.
that's a quitclaim.
That's
Yep, that's a quitclaim. Happens all the time.
What is it?
Interfamily transfer.
Transfer.
Yeah.
When you do an RPR, that shows up right away.
Pardon me?
When you do an RPR,
Uh-huh.
it shows up right away.
Okay. So the thing is that, yeah, interfamily, absolutely. And we have to be careful, watch those guys too, is that the county assessor will, I don't trust them. And they'll try to reassess the property, and they can't. But if you don't catch them, they're gonna charge you. Yeah, as long as it's family. Well, went over 2 o'clock. Any other questions? Comments?
What's this? Is that just the?
Oh, yeah. I only gave it to you as because people say LegalZoom's on here. Just go to the website. That's the first one. You know, Shapiro, Al Shapiro, the guy, the big attorney, he owns this company. Okay, then you got Legal Express. You can go to Dairyberry. Dairyberry does them. Charleston Weeks does them. All kinds of people do them. It depends, you know, what level you are, you know? I mean, if you're a big estate, you probably should go to, you know, but they can do it too. You know what, has anybody done a trust in here? So you know you've done, okay, so, you know, when you get it, all the paper's blanks and you see, all it is, you fill in, it's a cheat sheet, you fill everything in there, and then they organize it and put where the stuff's go. And everything is kind of, the titles, where you put here and there, then you put your siblings or aunts, cousins, uncles, whatever you want to, churches, donations, I mean, on and on and on. The thing can be crazy. But what the trust does, it takes a lot of time. People who have a lot of property, because they have to quitclaim now, because almost, if you don't have a trust, and if you're married, I'm going to use that as an example, you're not going to see too many married people taking it as their sole and separate property. It's going to be, you know, husband and wife as joint tenants, community property, usually. That's the zone. Well, they're going to quitclaim. Whether it's joint tenants or community property, they're going to quitclaim each property, each one, and each one has to create a new grant deed, and each one has to be recorded, so it isn't cheap.
Right.
Yeah, so if you got 10 properties, 10 brand new grant deeds.
Does it have to be recorded? What if
It has to be recorded.
it has to be recorded?
Yep. You got to, it has to give constructive notice that you as individuals, we always look at it because we're the ones in charge, but if it's a big estate, it's almost like it almost acts like a corporation, except you have control of the corporation. You know, you're the one, as long as you're alive, you're controlling that corporation, basically. So it's no longer, you're the husband and wife, and it's called, it'll be called the, you know, usually their first name and their last name, the first name and first name, and then their last name, family trust or whatever. It depends on what kind of trust it is, but that's the basic one. All I did was, guys, give you these examples. I mean, there's all kinds of people who can use, but I have people that call me because I want to do a trust. Well, I'm not a trust attorney, but I can just tell you the different ways you can go. Real quick, you know, like 5 more minutes, we'll hear about tax sales. Yeah, well, most of us title companies won't do them for at least 8 to 10 years. But I did some research, and I left you guys this form, behind you, the form. right there. This is called tax title. And these people, they told me that they charge, okay, if it's under 200,000, they charge $2,150. If it's basically under 100,000 or under 25,000, they charge $1,450. They have their website. Why am I telling you this? Because a lot of people don't want to wait 8, 10 years. They do all the research, and then they send that research to the title company to go ahead and sell the property. What happens with tax sales, that's where the biggest amount of quick claim deeds that ever go. People exchange money, do a quick claim, don't go to escrow, and do it among themselves. And that's why it takes so many years, because people don't buy them. If you buy them, look at it as a 401k. You can't touch them for 8 to 10 years. Why is that? Because there's so many things involved with a tax sale. Could be in the military. If they're in the military, they're exempt. The county has to give them, cannot do a tax sale on a military person. And nobody knows who they are because they try serving them, and they're over Afghanistan, and their mail just piles up in their box. So they can't be. It's not a foreclosure. That's another thing. Is anything on the property. So let's just say I have property, and I'm just not going to pay tax anymore because I bought it for $35,000. Now it's only worth 15 grand. So I went to every one of you guys and you said, Frank, it's a piece of garbage. Landlocked. 15 grand. You're going to get 15 grand, maybe. So I
You bought it for how much?
How much? 35,000. Oh, there's literally tens of thousands of parcels like that here in Yellow Valley. I deal with them every day now. It's crazy. The first thing I do when you guys open up the land deals with me, I automatically ask my company to plot the easements. If we have no plotted easements, I would say the 99% chance it's landlocked. Landlocked means it's in the middle of a section of property. You have 2 acres or 5 acres in the middle. You have no road access. So as soon as you get a listing on land, and a lot of times we can see, but I always open up the title and say, plot the easements. It's at least away. And some people insist, so no, I know there's easement out there. There's got these big dirt roads and all this stuff. It's $200 I send an inspector out there to go to inspect the land. So some people create their own dirt roads, but still, when it comes to Edison, when it comes to water companies, fire department, they won't trespass. They have to have a public open road or a private road that gives them permission to go down that road. So I'm doing a lot of, right now land is selling like crazy. Yeah, well, every 10 years, somebody else inherits it. You know, family members, bought this stuff 30, 40 years ago. Thought, remember the airport was coming through. Now people probably bought property out here, thought the bullet train's coming through. Next is gonna be Elon Musk with a, I don't know, flying car. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, so people buy this on speculation, and what they do is they market it overseas, and they show these. I saw pictures. The guy said, "I know my property's worth 200,000." I go, because they call me up for the comps. We send them comps. It's worth about 3,000 an acre. It's a 20-acre parcel, so $60,000, $70,000 land. He paid 200 grand for it.
Yeah.
And you know what he did? Whoever the marketer was, they took the bullet train, the blue and yellow bullet train, showing where the train tracks are going right next to his property.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And so, So now you got children inherit the property through the trust, and now they want to sell it. They don't care what they sell it for. They want the money. So always order plotted easements. Any other questions, comments? Nothing?
Thank you.
Anything else? You're welcome. Anything else? Anything else you want to talk about in the future? Let me know. I was asked to do this. It's funny, Rose is not here. She goes, "You got to come here and teach us how to deal with quitclaim deeds." So, but that's interesting. Your comment, sir. You said that's true. Back in 2009, 10, and all that area, there are quick claiming things are flying to prevent foreclosures. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Hey, by the way, prices are coming down.
Thank you,
Oh,
Veronica.
yeah.
Well, I know, how much do you think they're gonna be?
I just listened to the chief economist, real estate guy, guy at Chapman University. He said, even Orange County, saying, it doesn't matter where, we're gonna see a 15-20% drop within the next, up to the next couple of years.
15, 20.
Yeah, the next couple of years. He said, but that's not a bad thing.
That's not bad though.
No, he says it's not a bad thing because look at how many people paid over to buy a house. You know, so, you know, I mean, almost every house was 10 to 20,000 over.
NAR, I think, was saying that they expect to go down 9% by the end of this year.
I think it's happening. I think it's, in some cases, it's already happened. It's happening right now.
No, we see it already. I was just wondering how far we're gonna get.
So here's the thing I want to bring up to you about selling, this is property, selling property. I tell people right now, they give me off the street or whatever, I get a call, someone says, talk to him, talk to me, and I say, you know what? I tell them, sell your house today.
I know.
Sell it at today's market value price, sell it. They go, but you know what, I'm gonna lose money. I go, well, what do you mean? You got $250,000, $300,000 equity now. You've been in it for 12 years. I said, well, don't. I said, don't sell it. Wait till next year, July, and sell it, because it's gonna be another $75,000 less. Or I said, this is what you do. This is what I tell people. 90% of them are moving out of California. I mean, we just know that. We don't have to get into the reason why, but that's why they're doing it. I said, sell your house today, put the money in the bank, rent where you want to go for a few years, and you can decide what you want to do. If the market changes, you'll have the cash in the bank. So this is what people don't understand. It never works this way. It never works that when you want to go buy something, nobody's going to do a contingency. They're not going to let you sell your house in California to go buy in Texas or Florida, wherever you're going to go. Sell now. I tell people, sell now.
Yeah,
Put the money in the bank
yeah,
and rent.
exactly.
I did talk to the city. They are building executive, not low income, executive apartments right across the street here behind you on 15th Street. Very nice, high end. Gated communities. It's going to have a Salvadorian famous chicken.
Pollo Campero.
It's right there in the corner. It's going there right in the corner. I'll be one of the first customers. I was the first customer of El Pollo Loco. I saw the first one in Mazatlan. That's where it came from. Okay?
Is that gonna be on the corner or?
The corner right there. Okay, this is the part, yeah, they're gonna build 350 units, executives. And the reason why those are coming in is because Lockheed and Northrop said if they don't hurry up, they're moving an operation out here. They said our engineers will not, there's nothing for them to rent. And they're here for 2-year contracts. They basically fly in from different parts of the country. They're here for 2 years. They want gated. They want pool service, and they don't want to live in a house, and they have lots of money. So then I told them.
They don't wanna live in a house?
No, they don't want a house. They don't want a house. They don't want to live with, now these executives, they don't want to, they want privacy. And so, and these got people making, $250,000 to $500,000 a year type of executives. And they're all over, they're amazing how many there are. But here's the thing that's very, very interesting about that, she told me. I said, let me ask you something. I saw it up in Idaho. The same kind of complex we have here, they have one up in northern Idaho. They took the Sears and they turned them into condominiums. I said, why in the city of Palmdale taking these villages? She goes, you know what, Frank? She said, we're talking about that right now. She said, it's right now, this mall is in escrow right now. It's supposed to close in December. New buyer. And that buyer.
The mall?
Huh?
What did you say?
The mall, the entire mall. It's in escrow right now.
AV Mall?
Yeah. Everything, yeah.
How much is sold?
They're not gonna tell me. They're not gonna
Who's
tell me
buying?
who it. I was lucky to. Yeah, well, I asked my
I'm
first
just
bank
waiting.
account number too. I mean, the thing is, they don't know. I just get enough information to make me get excited because I would love to see condos because I saw what I saw they did. Beautiful single-story condos. And what they did is they built security entrance for those people. And they had a parking lot structure they built in the parking lot. was secured, they could walk through a tunnel, no rain, walk right in this thing. People would die to buy those things for $500,000. Again, it's executives. Because when they come home, they commute down to LA, whatever they're doing, and then they can put the amenities in there to get their nails done, their hair done, all that stuff. And they also said that Macy's and dealers, probably in the next couple of years, they might not be around anymore, most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you saw what's going on, you know, Bath and Beyond,
Yeah.
okay.
What's going on with-
Well, they're closing all 10 of them in California.
Yeah.
They're closing 145 nationwide this year. They're closing the rest, oh yeah, yeah. See, these are companies that have people, investment right now, so they're looking for housing, but the housing's not gonna be, I mean, it's not cheap because what it costs to build, nobody works for $3.50 an hour anymore. Those days are gone. No. Yeah, so,
Hello, Bed Bath and Beyond is owned by Marshall's. Anyway, Marshall.
and Marshall owns TJ Maxx.
Yeah, and they own that Bed.
Yeah, TJ Maxx, those places will stay in business because they're a discount house.
Right.
You know, those places will stay, but today people are, everything's is changing, but that was good news. Now, you know about Sprouts, Sprouts was supposed to go there, you know why they didn't go in there? The people fought it. The people fought it over here, said it would bring too much nuisance. Sprouts is a medium, grocery store, so they're going over there by Best Buy.
Yeah.
But they're building another one too on 15th and Avenue K. And that's
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's it.
I don't know how they're gonna do that, but they are gonna do it. This one's gonna open up any day.
So there's gonna be two?
Yeah, I don't know, it doesn't make sense.
Do you know why Bed Bath and Beyond is closing?
Yeah. People stop going. Going in.
The CEO committed suicide
Last call, yeah. I wonder why.
because he couldn't turn the company around.
Well, yeah, we don't know how much money took and gave to his family either. I mean, one guy doesn't control a whole corporation. I think they're, you know what else? I went to Walmart or something, you know, it's so crazy. They got everything. You know, I don't know what the level of quality, but they got everything there. And, you know, and Bed Bath & Beyond has got a lot of similarities to Walmart. Huh? Yeah, they were.
Very expensive. But
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome anytime.
How's it going?
So, what do you think? Okay, so,
Did you notice that Josh is leaving or he left already?
Yeah, I don't know how you got this information, full of it.
I just like the motivation.
You've got,
I see
you know about everything.
It's gonna be here?
Yeah.
10 o'clock.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, that is good, okay.
yeah, I'm trying to turn this off.
It was just crazy.
Thank
No,
you
we
for
don't
reading
know.
us.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to
Thank
turn
you,
this off.
Frank.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome anytime.
Good, good.
Think just click this.
No, I said, I hope that something.
So how much are you gonna get?
Open will be better than El Pollo
It's
Loco.
supposed to be the number one
You didn't make no problem?
Latin chicken place in the world.
Oh, because El Pollo Loco.
Way down the hill. Used to be the best, I used to eat there all the time.
He can't get out of his own way, though. The stock has never gone up. It's always been there, and I looked at it because I couldn't believe the guy with the sandwiches over there, what is that thing called? Chick, no, the other one.
Dave's hot chicken?
No, you know, the big one that has all fresh food. They serve it with aluminum wrap, they wrap it up right here.
You mean right here in the mall?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called, that's the.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
I never eaten.
anyway, the size of that thing is like $900. And I said to myself, how can a Pollo Loco not compete?
Well, yeah, it's gonna get worse because I talked to the owner of owns McDonald's,
who's
owns about
selling?
20, 30 of them. And he,
Good, good.
he's gonna put the robots in. But he said there's no freaking way they're gonna be paying $22 an hour. There's no way. He said, the people are not gonna pay
Yeah,
$50
no,
for a
so
Big Mac.
he's good.
No,
We'll see you.
Okay, see you then.
that's true.
And
But the robots, yeah, I don't know how to order it.
Oh, I turned it off.